Hello, welcome to the Zenshin Academy, and it's like 8:30 at night, and I thought it would be cooled down by now, but it's not. It's still over 90 degrees, and I don't know if you can tell, but the camera's been in the house all day, and it's fogging up, so I'm gonna take a few minutes and let this camera get used to this temperature so it'll stop fogging up. I'll get right back with you. Well, it just doesn't seem like it's doing really well with that. It might eventually work. Anyway, this might actually become something I do more than I expected. I go on my 2-mile walks 3 or 4 times a week, and honestly, this is when I use this time to think, I guess you could say, if thinking is something I do. So it's a time that I think about my training. I think about I try to contemplate my martial arts and ideas and concepts and things to that nature about it, and I generally do a lot of that. I talk to myself a lot, and I just thought maybe it would be more helpful if I would just film it. So we're going to do that for a while and see how that works out. Now, these 2-mile walks, and I walk a lot slower when I have this camera in my hand. I'll tell you that right now. These 2-mile walks are not like an endurance workout for me. I get out here, I get 2 miles in. I generally always walk them. Maybe for a certain amount of distance, I jog sometimes, but it's really not about anything other than a decent workout, and it just makes me feel good, and I get time to myself for contemplation and just that sort of thing. So the topic I'm going to hit on today, I'm going to preface, I love that word, by stating this. Because it does have relevance to the topic. In the last 45 years of my life, I have trained in many different martial arts. Karate, ninjutsu, Kali, Salat. I've been with 3 different Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu coaches. I've been with 2 different Aikido instructors. Two different Shorin-ryu instructors. Let's see here. And a myriad of random martial arts throughout those 45 years as well, including some very unique and individual, to say the least, systems of martial art. In particular, one called Dan Ryu. I do have a video up, either on Zenshin Academy or maybe it's on Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft. I'm not 100% sure. Or maybe both. Talking about my martial art background and what I teach, what I don't teach, that sort of thing. So, as an example, and I'm going to use this one as an example, but it could be said for any of these arts, okay? I do not, other than Aikido, I do not and even, I guess, Aikido's we'll say this, Aikido is as close to me saying that I teach Aikido or a specific style other than Zenshin Aikijitsu. Okay, I do teach Zenshin Aikido. So yeah, anyway, I started training Filipino Kali in the early mid 80s, and trained it pretty much exclusively up until I joined the Army in 92. But I don't teach Kali. I started Aikido in early mid 2000s, somewhere around there. But with that one, I do teach a form of Aikido, and I will use that term Aikido when I teach something else. Example, Kali. I don't say I teach Kali, because I don't. I teach what I drew from Kali, and along with the other stuff that's been mixed into it, based on what I learned from Kali. So, I don't teach ninjutsu, but ninjutsu has a decent influence in what I do today. I would not necessarily say that the Shorin-ryu karate has a significant influence on my life, other than philosophical or learning what I didn't want. In that respect, yes, it does have a lot, but as far as like the skills and techniques that I teach, Shorin-ryu really doesn't have a big influence. But if it did, I would not claim to teach Shorin-ryu karate. What I teach is Zenshin Aikijitsu, and I've got an entire video on this topic, so I'm gonna try to refrain from going there. But the reason for the video today, and we are at 0.6 miles right now, the reason in a 2-mile trip, the reason I'm going to the little chat that we're going to have today is I do teach. I have been teaching since, well, I opened my first dojo in 1995, so I started training in 1978. But I only teach Zenshin Aikijitsu. One thing that was never important to me in my training was ranks and belts. I don't really care. It's not important to me for someone else to acknowledge my skills by giving me a belt. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say it's not cool, it's not appreciated. Absolutely, it's appreciated, but I don't need it. I don't seek it, and I don't really care what other people value my skills at when it comes to that sort of thing, because all belts are, at their base core, and this is true for any martial art, don't care what system, what style, where it comes from. A belt is only somebody's opinion of your skill set. And although I can appreciate other people's opinions, they're just not important to me when it comes to someone else evaluating their idea of whether I'm good or not, or how good I am or how good I am not. So we'll leave it at that. But I do have 2 black belts. The first one is a 4th degree black belt in Kijitsuku Kai Aikido. And the second one is a 6th degree black belt in Zenshin Aikijitsu. So, and those are the only 2 black belts that I actually possess. And whether I'm being egotistical or prideful or whatever, I feel I deserve them. I feel I earned them. Others may not think so, but that's okay, because then we go back to I don't really care. But those are the only 2 systems that I have a recognition by others of my skill level. And like I said, it's cool if somebody wants to recognize you and don you with a rank, and I don't have anything against that, and I'm okay with that. If somebody wanted to say, hey, you know, I like your skills, you know, my system's this, that, and the other, you know, if you were to come over to my gym, I see you as this rank, that doesn't bother me a bit. I don't see it happening. It's never really happened to me, but it did happen to my brother. So anyway, I have recently stumbled into a martial art gym that teaches a system that, although I have practiced, I'm not super skilled at. Now, I'm going to try to refrain from being specific about things, and I don't think that the people that I'm kind of discussing is going to watch my video, but I don't want to ruffle any feathers if I say something that they may particularly not like, because I would like to start training with these people, at least a little bit. So anyway, I do my research. I went to the facility. I watched some training. I can see that the person I would be learning from has skills. I see that. It's obvious. So I'm good with that. The guy's about half my age, a little bit older than half my age, but about half my age. Much better physical condition, especially visually, a much better physical specimen than I am, by sure. And he does have skills. I see it. So that's cool. And that's really all I care about. I don't care what kind of ranks you claim. I don't care what kind of skills you say you have. I don't care how much accolade you give yourself, and how many times you've won this and won that, and how many belts you own, and it doesn't bother me that you have that or that you express it. It just doesn't mean anything to me. I want to see it. So when I go into a dojo or a training facility of some sort, I don't really care what belt they're wearing. I watch what they do, and that's how I determine whether or not I feel that they have skill. Now, I will say this. My personal view on whether they have skill shouldn't have any bearing on what they think of themselves, because not only do I express my views for myself, I think others should have the same views. Like when I say it doesn't matter what other people think of my skills, the only important thing is what do I think of my skills, and even more important to that, will they work? If they work, I'm good to go. So anyway, so not only did I go to their gym and watch, I looked them up on a general basic search on the internet. And I found, of course, information. I don't really care about genealogy of someone's training. Again, that, ranks right up there with belts. It's not really important. But I do like looking at it. It tells you things. That sort of stuff does not give you an accurate picture of their actual skills, but it does give you somewhat of a view of their personality, of their thought process, where they're coming from, that sort of thing. Now, as I was saying before, I've trained in a lot of martial arts in the last 45 years. A lot of them. Many have evolved and found their way into Zenshin Aikijitsu. Many have not. And I do not claim skill in anything, not even anything I have a black belt in. I'm still not going to say I'm good at it, whether I think I am or not. It doesn't matter. It depends on whether it works or not, whether it's good or not. So anyway, but I've trained under a lot of different people who have a lot of different skills that I've been able to combine throughout my life. And I shouldn't question a single person, and I don't, a single person that has a lot of different martial arts under the belt, because I'm one of those people. My issue comes when your background or your list of accomplishments or your pedigree specifically states that you have a black belt in one martial art, and one only. Yet you promote people to different ranks in those specific arts to whatever degree, especially black belts. Okay, so example. Just because I like using this style, and anyone who watches my videos knows, let's just make an assumption that the style is Taekwondo. All right. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm not saying that's not what it is. But I use that as an example many, many times. It's my favorite example martial art. So let's say that for some reason, legitimate or not, I'm not arguing legitimacy here, because I don't know. Let's say that you call yourself Supreme Grandmaster. Okay, so you're a Supreme Grandmaster in Taekwondo, and that's the only black belt that's listed in your background. But all of a sudden you see students of yours being promoted by you, this Supreme Grandmaster of, say, Taekwondo. You start promoting people in Filipino Kali, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, all these other systems. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have skills in those areas. I know for a fact, in a 45-year period of time, I've amassed some pretty decent skills in a pretty large spectrum. So I'm not saying that's not legitimate, but I can question, or I do question, that you don't have any established proficiencies in these arts other than just you saying you've trained them. Well, hell, I've hung out at tons of dojos all over the United States, maybe once, maybe twice. I went to a dojo in South Carolina that taught Tai Chi, and I jumped into one of the classes and took a Tai Chi class once in a dojo in South Carolina. I'm not going to start promoting people to black belt in Tai Chi just because I can claim I've had Tai Chi training. Yeah, it's a little sketch to me. Now, that doesn't say anything about the people that gain these ranks, okay? I've seen people that are fantastically skilled that have been promoted by people that are maybe questionable in my view. Jumping from this particular topic, I mean just in general, I've seen a lot of really skilled people come from people who promote things that they've never even trained. And as an example, back in the 70s and early 80s, I trained in a Kung Fu school on occasion. Again, I don't claim any lineage from this school because I didn't really train it very often. I didn't even really care for it. I showed up because my brother was interested in it. But anyway, there was a guy that trained there and was a black belt in that system. I knew the guy running the school. I wouldn't necessarily say we were buddies at the time. I was considerably younger back then, but I knew the guy. I had a really good rapport with him, and I know for a fact that the particular person I'm talking about right now was a black belt in this Kung Fu system. Know for a fact he was. Back in the early 90s, when MMA just came to America and started getting popular, this guy left the Kung Fu school, and I don't know where he went, what he was doing, but a few years later, people started showing up claiming that they were black belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under that guy. Yeah, I don't know. I never actually talked to that guy. I know that he had issues, to say the least. But there's no way, especially in the early 90s, this guy took off for 3 years and became proficient enough in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to start promoting people to black belts. But I do know people who came back, claimed they trained with him, and claimed that he promoted them to black belt. And it wasn't just one person, there was several people. And this is exactly something he would do. So, although I can't verify, I will say that according to the history of this person that I know, it's very likely that did happen. So, how can you go from being a supreme grandmaster in Taekwondo and training in other arts to promoting people in 3 or 4 different systems that you display absolutely no verifications, written or physically showing that you have. I will never claim to teach anything other than Zenshin Aikijitsu. Zenshin Aikido Aikijitsu. Because that's what I teach. Have I spent the last 45 years training in more than half a dozen different arts? Yes. Did I ever obtain black belt in any of them other than the Kijitsukai Aikido and the Zenshin Aikijitsu? No, I didn't. And you know why I didn't? Well, I answered that question early on because I don't really care. Belts don't mean crap to me. Yeah, the guy I was talking about originally, one of his students, absolutely talented in the area he claims. Absolutely, I can see it. His instructor, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I'll say I'm biased. Honestly, without doubt, I have a biased attitude going into this. And one of the simplest explanations for my biased attitude is that it revolves around Korean martial arts. And I'm not going to deny that. There is a bias there. I just question, I have a serious question mark anytime anyone says, oh, I'm a black belt. What style do you train? Oh, blah, blah, blah. It's a Korean martial art. I'll be honest, whether or not you consider it a legitimate reason or not, as soon as the word Korean martial art comes out, I automatically just question. Now, I can look at you and make a general and decent interpretation of whether or not what you're saying could possibly be true just by looking at you. But I can definitely tell whether or not I think someone has skills just by watching them. They don't have to say, well, I have a black belt in this or a black belt in that. I don't give a rat's ass about your black belts. Show me what you can do, and that's what's going to impress me. Your ability to do it, not something wrapped around your waist. That doesn't mean anything to me. Alrighty, so I took my very sweet time on this walk. It was very, very hot, and I did not want to exhaust myself or get myself in any issues. And again, I do this for a little bit of a workout, but mainly just for my mental workout. And we are almost done. All I got to do is turn this corner here, and then I'll just be an eyeball away from where I started. So hopefully I'll post this. I don't know if I will, but I am going to keep a record, I think, of some of these meandering thoughts that go through my freaking head. Some of them I think are okay, others I just think are just random BS. But you know, I'm not the smartest person in the world, and I'm not the most sane person either. I can tell you that right now, and I got papers to prove it.